Okay, cool. Well, welcome all. It's great to see everyone. And let's just, let's take our usual just minute or moment here of dropping in and touching our own hearts and the hearts of each other and the heart of the world, so to speak, and remembering why we're here. And then we'll just jump into Emmanuel, your reporting out. So just take a moment to drop in quietly together. Thank you. Always appreciate that. So, Emmanuel, why don't you just go ahead and catch us up, and we'll go from there.
Wow.
You're ready.
So good to hear from you and to feel you, dear friends. Thank you so much for organizing this call, Larry. And I'm so grateful to see all friends, those we have been together maybe in the last previous call until today. It has been almost a month. So a lot has been happening here at the center, and though it is hot and dry, the sun is very, very cruel, but at least we are on with our daily activities, working in the farm and the center. And what we have been so working on these days is the embassy project that we had to, the embassy agreed to give us the grant, but it was our turn to do the wiring at the center. So them, they will come and install the panels to provide the power. So that is what we have been working on for the last 1.5 weeks. And I'm happy to say or to report that we are done with the wiring of all the classrooms, the dormitory, and all the other areas like the teachers' female quarters house. They have also, we have made some light, and we have some security light within some corners of the classrooms. So we are expecting that the moment these solar will be installed, then we may have light at the center. Though it may not be enough, but it will be much better than nothing, because we have been longing for this for quite some time now. So being that we did that, then I wrote to the embassy that we have done our part. We have done the wiring for all the in-house, and now we are waiting for the solar gen to install the solar system at the center. So the grant was $6,000 to purchase some solar panels and few storage. And the total project was $8,050. So with their grant of 6,000, we had to add community work and also to add more money for the wiring. So that is what we did. And right now we are done. Maybe as from Monday, they will start mobilizing the things to bring at the center. Looking forward to have light maybe as from Friday next week.
Wow, that's great, Emmanuel. Great. It's really exciting.
Yeah. And we have been also working on the classrooms, the new project for the 4 classrooms. We are working on that. We received support for to make the roofing. So this roofing, we thought how we would want it to be. So we are making a flat roof. So this will allow us also to have this flat house. We are not going to use a lot of trees or timber to work on that. So we are working on that, and hopefully we are going to finish this maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, and it will be done. So maybe we shall remain with finishing parts of the classrooms to get maybe plastering and painting of the walls, and then it will be final. So that is the progress that we have made so far. And last, I think it was yesterday, the chicken started, we found like 2 eggs. So they were small, they were still small, but it was an egg. So we are looking forward, maybe towards the end of this month, we may have more eggs. So that is also very touching and also making us so happy that the chicken project has also coming up and is starting to give some fruits. So that is what we have been doing, and I've been also finishing my annual report writing and also trying to come up with this quarter newsletter. So that is what we have been working on at the center, and we have been also working on getting some school uniforms and shoes for the children. So now I hope by next week or by Thursday, the school uniforms will be ready, and the shoes will also be supplied on next week. So the children will have shoes for the second time after maybe 4 years or 5 years. And now they're going to have some shoes again. And they're going to have also some uniform. So that is so touching and beautiful to have. The registration of the institution as a learning institution is on progress. We got all the support and report from the Ministry of Health, of Public Health. They recommended, they have no objection for the center to be registered as a learning institution. And also the National Environmental Management Authority, they came also and did their inspection, and also they said it's okay, it can be registered. Now the Ministry of Education, they come, they visited, and we are waiting for their registration. So and comment and recommendation, they'll give also a report. So from there, maybe hopefully we may get the certification from the government that we are certified as a learning institution, maybe towards the end of this month or early April. So far, those are the activities that we have been working on, and we are also trying to make some tree nurseries so that when the rain comes, we are expecting the rains early early April or late this month. So we are preparing some trees so that when the first rain come, we wish to plant some trees so that we can grow trees with the community together. Yeah.
Wow, that's all just exciting, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Very big. So Valerie, you may not know, this will be a permanent registration versus a temporary registration for the education institution for the center. And so that's big. Gosh, the first eggs and
Yeah.
what state is the roof in? Is when will the kids first use the classrooms, the new classrooms?
Hopefully from April 1st.
April 1st. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And just so want to acknowledge and honor too that the funds for the roof really came, through One World in Germany and Barbara
Yeah.
and the supporters there. That just was such a beautiful additional ongoing contribution. And oh my gosh. And the school uniforms and classrooms. I'll tell this story. We got a call from you, Emmanuel. What was it? Was this just last week or the week before? And you were so somber and sober. And it's like, Larry, I need to talk to you. And I have something to tell you. And I was sat down because I was preparing for bad news. And and then you said, we just got $16,000 for uniforms and shoes. And the children hadn't had shoes in, as you said, 4 or 5 years. And it was just, and then we both broke into laughter and tears. And earlier, but 2 days before or something like that, was you called and let me know about the contribution from One World in Germany about the funds for the roofing. And so there's so much beautiful stuff that is just happening there. And the US Embassy stuff started coming together then really too. So it's just really been, and is a very rich and ripe time. And the new board for the new charitable trust foundation piece has also been meeting. We've had our second meeting, so that's progressing as additional news. And yeah.
The money that was for uniform and shoes, it was not allowed directly to the children's account until yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Because the government and the bank wanted clarification and justification as why the money was coming to our account. So we had to do communication on both sides. We had to prove that we requested for the funds by showing the request and the budget, why we requested that. And then also we had to get some response of approval from IPG so that they know the money is the source where it's coming from and the purpose why the money is sent to account. So this process took like almost 5 working days. So that means it took like 8 or 9 days before the actual approval by the bank to reflect in the account. So that's why activities of the shoes and activities of the uniform will be continue as from next week, as from Monday tomorrow. Then they can continue because we shall have the resources in the account. So that was a normal procedure. Things have changed. It's not easy to just receive money. So if it is more money, they have to know why and ask all these questions. So, but at long last, they agreed, and the money reflected in the account.
That's great, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
Anyone questions for Emmanuel or reflections, comments? Barbara?
Yeah, I also want to mention that the money for the roofing, it came from Munich, from Carla Kunert, who is the mother-in-law of Astrid.
Oh my God.
And she has really become a friend of the center, supporting and yeah, has the children in her heart. And so I invited her to come to the call. Maybe it doesn't work today, but maybe she will listen. And thank you very much, Carla.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
I wanted to thank Emmanuel too for his work on behalf of the children, because this has such a big ripple effect. Your vision and your dream spreading out to the children and the community. So thank you for making a difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Is this breakfast, Bill?
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen if you can't tell. Yeah,
That's
so,
fine. Do you have anything you want to reflect on?
yeah, well, I'll report on the
Oh.
situation with Simplify. Just a little, a little background. We did get well, first of all, Simplify has a program. Simplify Power is a company of which I'm a part of. And we've been, at Simplify Power, been working with establishing a donation program. It's 1% of gross revenues that go to projects that need our batteries. And we'll either donate those batteries or we'll provide them at a discount. And so 1% of gross revenues, depends upon what our gross revenues are, but it's at least $200,000, possibly more, of availability for grants or donations or discounted products. And there are other companies that are joining into the 1% idea. So it's the 1% idea that's getting circulated around. So with respect to applying for this, there's on the website, there's an application form to be filled out. And that was done by the efforts of a lot of people involved with Magarini. And the application went into the to Simplify, was accepted by Simplify, has it. There are 24 such applications. So we are one of over 20, and I don't know exactly who the others are because I'm not a part of the application process or the approval process. In fact, I'm on the board of the company, but I'm not involved in day-to-day operations. The people who are involved do have some familiarity with Magarini. Jesse Gersten has met with Emmanuel before, and he's involved in it, so he's familiar with the school. In conjunction with that, I did send to Jesse and to Catherine, who's the CEO, and Sequoia, who's the other person really involved, the deck that we prepared.
Yeah.
And also some other collateral material, including the last recording of our call.
Oh.
And it's just a question of whether we survive the queue or not. There's 24 there, and from all over the world. And it's pretty remarkable because I'm surprised that there's that many. Our request is to cover the donation of the batteries. So the actual cost of the batteries, when Sologen first did their proposal, when we were ultimately included, when Simplify was ultimately included in that proposal, the cost was was right at $73,000, and the $73,000 was our price to Africa Energy, who's a distributor in Africa, and then Sologen acquires the products from African Energy as the installer. And I forget what the markup is, but in the proposal, it's basically said what the total cost is. I can't remember exactly what that total cost was. Emmanuel, you may remember, but it's in the proposal. So they have a copy of the proposal also, Simplify does. And they've seen it before because they were party to negotiating it with African Energy, because we weren't, Simplify initially was not involved, if you remember, in the storage component. And although we had referred Magarini to African Energy, so that was a little bit of an issue, but we finally got included in that. So the end result is that the application's in, and we'll see whether we are awarded something. And have no control over it. It's, and best that I don't, because it'd be a conflict of interest otherwise. But that's where it's at. They know I'm involved in it. Jesse's been on one or two of these calls. And Catherine would have been on the call today. She's our CEO, Catherine Bomberg, but she had her son in town for birthday. So maybe the next call. But hopefully by the end of March, we'll know where we stand, or at least we'll know where we stand in the process. So I think the 24 will be broken down into maybe 10 survivors, and then those 10 survivors will probably end up being broken down a little bit further, and then something will be done with either all 10 of them or maybe just a few of them. So hopefully we get awarded something. I'm optimistic we'll get something, but who knows? And hopefully we get the whole award for all the batteries. This does not mean that it covers the solar.
Right.
So then we have to go out and get coverage for the solar. Total cost is around $230,000. So what we're talking about is roughly, $76,000 covered. Also covers shipping if we get the award, and the balance of it would be still have to be raised. I'm available for any questions, Larry, if you want to.
Okay. Yeah, it's just say it's really exciting to even be part of that process, and Bill, your coaching and support in getting that proposal in, and this whole process is just so emotionally touching for me and deeply appreciated. And yeah.
I think the good news is that we do have a deck that basically asks for the whole 230,000.
Right.
And I think it's a good one. And we have updated the website. And so we can refer to the website within the deck. And when I say deck, it's for those who don't know what a deck is, it's basically a deck that you present to proposed donors or investors who would put money in. So it's presented digitally on the computer to people who are interested. The story is good, so I think ultimately we'll get the money, but it's just taken a long time to get it positioned. In the meantime, the good news is we got the $6,000 from the ambassador's office, and we got some wiring done, and so that's the first step.
Yeah. I'll just add for you, Valerie, because you've I think probably haven't heard this, but the goal is to make of the center a solar banking reservoir for the larger community. Even as it is now a water reservoir due to the well that, got put in. And so people are now in the time of drought when other wells are failing and so on, people are traveling and walking, 10 to 20 kilometers to get 5 gallons of water at the center. And so having solar power at the center will just change that community as well. But
There's a lot of other opportunities there too, Larry, because you did send to me the hydrology report.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting report. The depth of the well is not that deep, and the underground water is fairly readily accessible at a fairly minimal amount of drilling. So it's down around 230 feet or something like that, if I recall, which is really good because some wells go way down below that. You get into the what they call aquifers and underground river streams and so on and so forth, and we don't know what's really there. But once you have the solar, you also, in the storage, you also have the ability, just like you have a little solar panel for the pump, on the existing well, you have the ability to perhaps drill another well in another location on the property. Could be a deeper well, but more irrigation. And the whole goal is to have the electricity and the water, just like Larry said, serve as a water resource and energy resource for the people in the community and people outside the community. They'll ultimately be able to communicate just like we're communicating right now. They'll get educated to do that. The produce that you have, everything else you can actually sell. Other kinds of ways to do it digitally over the web. It brings you into a whole new sort of era. So it'll be interesting if we can pull it all off.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Any other reflections on this piece or comments? Okay. Let's see, where are we at in time? Let me just do a time check. 10:36. Okay. Emmanuel, your recent post on Facebook, I mean, you have so many, but was just really beautiful. And I want to just read from that, if you will, and then ask you to comment on that, and also then tie that to this other piece that was coming to mind for me. But you wrote, "Love is not an act in our hearts, it's life to us. Nature is part of us. We are working together and caring for the soil as we care for each other. The children are growing together." And then this other piece that I sent out with the email came to me just as I was reflecting on our conversations, but it's this idea that when the children and the soil sing in joy together, and it strikes me that, is obviously the soil is a living piece, but it does sing, even as we might talk about the harmony and the singing and the stars, as we can hear them sing. The whole universe is singing, if you will. It's vibrating, to use your language, Bill. And we just, Emmanuel, invite you to reflect into that sense of the soil and children learning to sing together in harmony as community. And I want to welcome you, Tom, if you can hear this.
I can.
So, welcome, Tom.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's all right.
Hello.
Yeah. So Emmanuel, when you're ready, just maybe share what you would from this.
Yeah, thank you, Larry, for that. There are some moments in my life and in my daily living that are connecting to nature and trying to be one with nature. It's something that nurtures and nourishes my heart. And being with the children, showing them the way, it's not something you can teach like what they learn in class or what they learn from the teachers, but something that they can learn by deep feeling with and connecting or connection with nature through the soil. And by doing this, I've been bringing the children right to put their hands into the soil, not so much, not in a hurry, not like I want to finish this because it's an assignment, no. Just to do it because it nourishes it some kind of communication. And this communication is different from heart to heart, but gives the same message. And by doing this and feeling the children, to give them the opportunity to feel nature and through the soil, and in a way that they can present it on their own way, on their own life, on their own living together, either as they play games at the center or as they play in the evening, as they sing and running, is something that opens the deeper communication with the solitude or with being in the nature that communicates through the heart and from heart to heart. So this, as they sing, as they walk, as they talk to each other, they feel this togetherness. They feel this oneness, of which on my side, I feel it's a greater learning, because through this, they can understand their own life, on how they can protect themselves, they can protect the soil and nature at large. And for me, because they are the most beneficiaries of the days to come in future, they can come up with their own ways and mitigation on how to cope with these challenges. Because I found out that the struggle of humanity or of human beings in to be at peace with themselves, to be at peace with the nature, it's not easy, because nature is always natural. It does not change. Only we as human beings have this tendency of changing our activities, our work. So as we have gone deeper, polluting the air, polluting the soil, and now the fight is like there is a fight between nature and the humans. But once we try to learn and become one with nature, then nature cannot fight itself, because we are part of it. We are part of the natural system. So by doing this, we are creating a healing system a healing system within our hearts, a healing system within in the natural way or nature to cup and naturally heal the wound of which is against all the humanity life, because we as human, we have become one with nature. This is a process that we need. I feel, I particularly, I feel I need to learn, the children need to learn. And I'm not the teacher to teach this, but the children to show the way and how they can connect to the natural teacher who is nature. So this connection will bring awareness to the young minds of the children on how they can connect and become one. So as become one with nature, the healing within the hearts happens naturally. So this is my response and my struggle on how I can reach this to the children and to the community and all my dear friends all over the place, because we have a lot of conflicts. And these conflicts, most of the conflicts are coming on because the soil is trying to find a way to breathe, is trying to find a way to open up, to show the love or to show the way, but this does not get the opportunity to do that. So these conflicts, these fights, these wars is part of what nature is trying to show, and where we as persons, we as human beings, to get to understand where we have made the mistake of being separate with nature. So once we get into this by just creating a space of getting the soil back to its breathing way, to its normal way of life, then it rejuvenates itself. And when this rejuvenation cycle is on and is carrying out, the process is on, the cycle is on, and once we are part of that, the soil, the earth is healing. And once the heart is healing, we also start to find peace in our own heart, because we become one and we get this healing. So as a center where we have these vulnerable children and orphan children, they need this process to heal, to be themselves, and to accept themselves, that we have no, I'm not like a separate, or I'm not lonely, I'm not alone, I'm with this love of nature and how to connect with it and being into that and become one to that. So it's a process that I feel it will take time, but I feel we are on the right track as we protect and care for the soil together.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Anyone care to reflect anything back?
This is an interesting thought for me because my brother is a soil scientist up in Montana,
Oh,
and he helps ranchers try to make their soil more healthy. And I think this is a feeling that hopefully more people are having, to increase the health of the soil, to increase the health of us on this earth.
Thank you for saying that.
I just wish when I was going to school that I would have had a focus on nature also.
Mm.
hmm.
I just remember when I was in high school, the first Earth Day happened, and so we're coming up on like 50 years or something, or a little more of that. And it started out as small, and now it's kind of a big thing. A lot of people have jumped on that bandwagon, but we are so connected to the earth. We can't, you know, we don't have some other planet. I mean, they want to go explore Mars, but this is our planet. This is where our love needs to focus. And Emmanuel, that was just so beautiful. I was sitting here just writing madly and absorbing what you were saying, and it just resonates so deeply within my soul and spirit for our beautiful Gaia, our beautiful earth, that we love her and we need to honor her more. I just thank you so much.
Thank you, Marjorie.
When I was grades 1 through 8, I was in a Catholic school. And we always had instruction on the 10 commandments, but not one of the commandments was to love and respect nature.
Wow. I think what you say, Tom, is I feel this world sometimes we have the natural commandment, like to love nature, but the way we implement them, the way we are taught in school how to implement them, how there is this formal and informal and conventional lifestyle. It makes very difficult. It's just easy to say than to put it practically, because most of the formal learning regarding environmental issues, regarding taking care of the soil, some in schools, they do it just to do for exams, to pass exams, or to do this. But for me, I feel if it could be done through even more heartedly, to let the people feel. And when this feelings part or feeling part is also involved, then our mind and our heart becomes one as we work together. Because mostly I feel people, we are using a lot of our mind through calculations and all these, and forgetting we can feel and listen to the sound that no one else can hear from the soil other than your own heart. So this is a thing that I feel as we try to honor and respect and say we love nature and protect nature, then we give this aspect of listening to with our heart. And once we do this, we can feel human beings and relate them as human beings. But in a way, we are living together with all the animals. They're part of nature. But our own activities have made ourselves separate from this circle. And we as a human being, I see we are identified, we are seen in a different or in another spot out of this circle. And that's why I feel there is this a lot of pressure, there is a lot of conflicts here and there, of which instead of trying to see how can I solve this problem, and try also to use our heart to listen deeper and listen to each other and listen to the voice of nature, and then how to find solutions for our own problems. And then we have left this. So I feel we are lacking something, and this is something that we lack. The answer is right from the soil, from nature, when we agree to feel it and listen even deeper with our heart.
Emmanuel, a couple of things. What actually I think tends to occur is once we have words, we put words on what we feel. We project onto what is there. We're trained to do this. We project onto what is there words. So a tree is not really a tree. The word tree is not the tree. As an infant, you don't have any words. As an infant, you can cry, so you can make sounds, but you don't have words. You're taught to project onto, say, the tree, whatever that true nature of the tree is, the word tree. So it academically, mentally, abstractly becomes a tree. And what you're I think you're working toward is a solution to that, which is where the solution has to be. That has to be, what is the true nature of Emmanuel? It's not that the true nature of Emmanuel is Emmanuel, or Valerie, or Tom, or Bill, or Larry, Barbara, Marjorie. There's a true nature that's common to all of us, and it's actually a true nature that's consistent with the true nature of nature.
Yes.
So we're trying to crawl out of an abstract world, and having recognitions of, in an abstract way, of some of this, but never having a real sense or feeling of it in the true nature of it. So just somewhat ironically, I want to give you one example. This is an example I just came across. There's this concept of ground effects. Could be soil effects, but it's ground, G-R-U-N-D effects. You can look it up. And within the concept, the intellectual concept of fluid dynamics, how dynamics of fluids work, it also is true that the ground affects. So fluid dynamics applied to an Indy race car, if it doesn't take into effect ground effects, it is missing the point. The point is that the ground is affecting the performance of the car. Ground effects. Now, they don't go any deeper into what is the true nature of ground effects. It's just ground effects. And ground effects are affecting the performance of the car. So by golly, we got to do something about that. And so they do. Within the context of science, they figure out a way to utilize the ground effects in such a way that the performance of the car is better. Same thing goes with respect to jets taking off and landing. They land not on hard soil, concrete, but they land on a tarmac, a sort of a cushion, kind of a ground effects kind of a thing. So if you look at it, we basically have an abstract understanding that the soil or the ground is affecting, but we don't go any deeper than that because we just stay in the words. One of the ways you can convince a human being that of the true nature of them is consistent with the true nature of nature is to simply provide them with a chamber in which there's only carbon dioxide, and just say you go in there and see how long you exist. We talk about clean air all the time, but nobody wants to take the risk of going into, a chamber of carbon dioxide. Thankfully, the plants are there to convert it back to oxygen, but we don't think of it in terms of what's going on beneath all of those words. Well, the person doesn't go into a chamber of carbon dioxide, nor do they want to live in a chamber where there's no water or no food. They come to a quick reality of it when they don't have food, they don't have water, they don't have clean air. But it's still an abstraction. And so I need food, but they don't understand the true nature of food. So what I'm trying to get to is there's something that underlies these words that really you have to penetrate beneath the word into what lies beneath the word. You have to penetrate what lies beneath your name into what is, you got to penetrate your name to what is your true nature beneath the name. And then ultimately, it turns out that everything's of the same true nature. Just a question of how you call it. You can call it nature, you can call it something else. You can call it potential, infinite potential, you can call it vibration, you can call it anything, you can call it God, you can call it consciousness, you can call it awareness. It's got to put a word on it to communicate about it. And then what happens is you start putting a word on it, then it becomes abstract again, as opposed to really the true nature. Hopefully that made a difference in what you were, because I understand the depth of what you're going to and the difficulty in trying to move through the abstraction. The beauty of these children is they may not be educated in a way that allows them to avoid their true nature. The risk of having, quite frankly, solar storage, communication, and everything else is that they get educated in the current way of thinking, which doesn't go beneath the word. In fact, you can figure that out real quick by going to a dictionary and looking up a definition of any word, and you'll be led to another word, which will lead you back ultimately to the first word you were trying to find out in the first place. How was it defined? You just go around in circles and circles and circles, like a cat chasing its tail. So we're trying to get beneath that. So one of the things that we would talk about when we do have the solar storage is how do we communicate from that spirit that you're talking about, as opposed to the spirit that everybody else is talking about, where you really actually talk about soil effects or ground effects as if it has there's a true nature to it, which is consistent with nature. So that's my feedback for you.
That's beautiful, Bill. And I'd like to jump in briefly on this and invite other people to come in, and then we'll move towards closure. The solar project is not without danger. And I really appreciate your speaking to that, because I'm keenly aware of it. As it brings in more modern technologies, it brings in all the potential distractions of that. And as you point out, in contrast to what you were speaking of, Emmanuel, which one way to talk about that is what you're trying to offer the children is what I would call an unmediated encounter between their hearts and the soil. It's unmediated by language, an experience of nature. And so they're touching it with the essence of their being, and together they become alive. And so you're creating this invitation and opportunity for this raw experience of touching the intelligence in nature and the presence in nature. And that's what I experience time and again as I take people into nature. What really helps them transform and change in some way and become informed. Informed is a different kind of being. They allow nature to wake up inside of themselves in some way. And so I would just offer that, and maybe give a chance here to go around for anybody that wants to share again, and then we'll move towards closure.
Let me just jump in real quick again.
Sure.
And that was really good. It sort of triggered in me something. I've just been reading a book, and yeah, it goes into the reasons why through acts of measurement it appears that the the universe is about 13 billion years old. That's pretty amazing. 13 billion years old. It's hard to get your mind around it, but it's 13 billion years old. And you look at when words first appeared, it appears that happened about 100,000 BC. So that's certainly not 13 billion years ago. So the question really boils down to what was going on before that, before words. Well, a heck of a lot was going on before then. And so what happens is that there's many forms of languaging that doesn't dismiss what's been going on before then. And that's what you're talking about, I think, Emmanuel, and that's what Larry's talking about is getting in touch really communicatively with the true nature of reality. And you can do it non-verbally. Don't need words. In fact, whatever was in existence at the time before people were called humans with words, they were doing something. Now, it probably wasn't the way they wanted to live, because that may be part of the problem. They're just part of nature, and so trying to come up on top as opposed to being at the bottom or somewhere in between, it's not really the best of all possibilities. So words and symbols and images have served us well and allow us to live a fuller life, but it's also served us not well by going into the abstractions, as opposed to forgetting what our true nature is and what is the true nature of our words.
Thanks, Bill. Emmanuel, anyone else you want to?
I think sometimes for me, it's easy, and the way that we were raised and educated, it's easy to get stuck in our head and get out of our heart. And we need to get back in our heart and let our heart, as Emmanuel was saying, connect with the soil and with each other and with all of nature. So but there is a mind-body connection, but we have to sometimes let our heart take that lead and not intellectualize everything, I guess.
Thank you, Marjorie.
For me, I think it's a communication. And communication has different channels. And for me, I have believed that the soil communicates, the soil says something. But this, what the soil says to me, might not be the same how it will communicate to you or how it will reach you. But at the end, the same, or the results might be the same. So this communication, how can you hear or listen to the soil? Then for me, I feel when there is no one way style or communication, but I feel it's when you give the touch. When you give the touch, like when you touch me or you touch something, you do something. Maybe I took the big fork djembe and start working on the soil to make sure that I prepare it for the planting. This is also communication. So as we do this, as we put all these force to the soil and break it into small particles and prepare it and put some manure to make it healthy. It's part of the process of communicating. So sometimes, and this I speak as me on my own experience, when working with the soil, putting the big fork of djembe, I feel the pain of what I'm causing to the soil. But I have to communicate back. Like, I have to do this because I have to eat. I have to plant. So to plant, I have to break you into these small particles so I can put the seeds. So sometimes it's sort of like craziness, but this craziness is also a sort of communication, of communicating back. And how this is done through my heart or to other person, it might be different, but ending up in the same, how it works, and it works with the heart, how it works with our own body and mind and soul, then it nourishes. It, by the end of the day, if I care for you, if I feel you as a human being and know that we are together and we can create peace together, I think we get to the core.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Really beautiful reflections. Anyone else? I would like to, Bill, did you have something else you were leaning forward there?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I was getting ready to exit the call.
Okay. Well, I'd like to close in a different way than we usually do, and I'd like to share a poem. Take about a minute here, but it speaks, I think, to this piece of the separation and the healing that we're talking about, and the spirit of the call and what's happening at Magarini. And this is one of mine, and I call it the One Tribe. And it speaks to this wound of separation. That I am enough, that I am enough. Oh, to feel such a sufficiency of being in the world. Oh, to belong with an innate intimacy. To rest in the birthright of emergence from the womb with indigenous worth and identity. To receive and to know through a primal intelligence and wisdom alive within. One's place in the world is held in a circle of community, a landscape of relationships and story, ecologically interwoven with all of life. I and you and we and they, all born into this one tribe, the tribe of no exclusions. All invited into openness, marvel, wonder, and delight. As we swim together in awareness and gratitude for the great, unspeakable mystery in which we find ourselves. Awakening and enough, just as we are.
Good.
So with that, thank you each for being in this circle of heart and love and awareness and invitation together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Marjorie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Travel well.
Everybody, please be safe and take care.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye all.
Bye.
Till next time.
Bye.
Till next time. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.